Hello, Hunter McDermott here with another episode of Guitar Blog. This is number 4. It's Tuesday, July 30th, 2019, 5:03 p.m. Let's see, so last night I played at kind of an open mic thing. It's sort of like you don't just go and sign up, it's like a curated thing. You talk to the guy who runs it and he just like gives you some time. It's sort of an open mic, but a little bit different. But anyway, I played with a bass player friend of mine who I've been playing with on and off for a little while, and that was a lot of fun. I guess I went to a public jam, so I do a jam every week, but it's just at a guy's house with other musicians, so we're not really playing for an audience, which is fine with me. It's way more nerve-wracking to play with a group of musicians than it is to play for audience members, people who eating pizza or whatever. But anyway, I had played at a public jam at Dazzle in Denver one time, and I think that's my only time getting up and playing jazz in front of people that was like an audience who came to hear it or were just in the room at the same time. But anyway, it went well. We had a good time, put together some tunes pretty quick and played them, so that was nice. I'm feeling more comfortable with at least some of the tunes that I know. Playing for a crowd doesn't really bother me too much. I've got enough experience doing that. Let's see, other than that, I have been really thinking a lot about this melodic cells thing that I started talking about a couple weeks ago, and then the arpeggio thing from last week. And the thing with the melodic cells is that it's just a mountain of material, and that's cool, but it's hard to know what to work on, how to distill that down into something that will give you the biggest bang for your buck, at the time. And that's kind of how he puts it in the book, is like, you will come and go from this when you need it. It's a well that you draw from. The thing about a well, though, is you only need one thing, and you get one thing from the well. When the well is like actually 1,000 wells, how do you know which well to go to? Anyway, I kind of already had the answer to that question, which I may have mentioned when talking about the melodic cell stuff. A different friend of mine, plays saxophone, told me about this guy named Mike Steinel who teaches at UNT, who has a lauded jazz program, and he's got this really great guide called The Guide to Change Running. So he says, this isn't music, right? You're not gonna master this stuff and then now you're an amazing jazz player. It's very rote. Like, here's a thing you can do at this point, and you can do this all over the place. It's like the melodic cells thing. It's not really musical. It's like an exercise, but the idea is to play it like an exercise enough to where it just seeps into your playing. You're building your technique, of course, but also your fretboard knowledge. You're developing your ear, which is really the big thing. And it's important to run through those things, right? Everybody kind of knows that already. But one thing that he does talk about in that guide is something I believe he coined the term. He didn't invent the actual music behind it, but he calls it 3 in, 2 out, which is there are 3 patterns that you can use over a 2 chord, and 2 patterns that lead out on a dominant chord. So you got a 2-5 chord progression. But the way that they're structured, if you have like a long 2-5, you can actually play the whole lick over the 2 chord or the whole lick over the dominant chord, and it works just as well. So this is really nice because I cross-referenced what he was talking about with what Randy was talking about in his book, and found that Randy does mention these exact same phrases, these same exact patterns, except they're just buried in with like 1,000 other ones. And what Mike does is he says, no, just these, right? Just these 5, and here's how you group them together. And again, it's limiting, but it's a great way to get some vocab happening, and it's a manageable amount. For me, that's something that's really important, is like, I'm not great at biting off small pieces of something. Like, I see the enormity of this thing, and it's really hard to know where to start, right? So having somebody just go, no, just take this, just do that. put on your blinders. Don't worry about the rest of the stuff. Just master this. And that, this is where having a teacher really comes in handy, is that they can do that. They can facilitate that process for you. In my case, I need to do it myself for now anyway. But really, I'm just letting my friend be my teacher and letting Mike Steinel be my teacher. All right, so anyway, Autumn Leaves is a really great tune to work on this stuff on top of, because it's all 2/5s, basically. So you got the way I play it in G minor, the way Miles did it, rather than the one that's in the real book. You got a C minor, F dominant, B flat. So there's your 2-5-1 right there. Then we go to the 4, and then we go 2-5 in minor. So A minor, 7 flat 5, D alter dominant, 7 flat 9, and then either G minor or G minor 6 is really nice. So that's a 2-5-1 in a minor 2-5-1. And then it repeats that cycle a lot, right? It's a beautiful song and a beautiful cycle. So it's a really great kind of proving ground, or whatever, test case for working on new material, just because it kind of lays out all this nice chord progression for you to work on. So what I've been doing is picking a position. So G minor, relative major would be B flat. I kind of think of it as being in B flat, even though it's G minor. So I just think position 1 of B flat. I'm starting on the 6th fret of the 6th string. And then within that stretch, with as much as possible, try to work out all the different permutations of 3 and 2 out. So the way that works is you've got, let's see if I can remember them. 1 in would be, so this is on the minor chord. We'd start on the root, so we have 1, 3, 5, 7. So it's basically just playing an arpeggio. And again, you can do it up an octave. So it goes 7, and then it goes to the 3rd of the dominant chord, which would be F7 in this case. So that's it's an A note. And I think this is why specifically he chose this small group of patterns, is I believe, if I recall correctly, we'll find out, they all connect by going from 7 to 3, which is like the holy grail jazz harmonic resolution connecting pitch thing. It sounds great to connect the 7 to the 3rd when changing chords. It's just nice. It's right. It's tried and true. Sounds good. Sounds like jazz. Sounds like what you're hoping to work on. So you got 1, 3, 5, 7, and then 3, and then this one continues to ascend. 3, 5, 7, 9. So we're doing a, and then that allows us to go down then to an F, which would be the 5th of our 1 chord, which would be B flat. So something like this. And that's outlining those chords really nicely. So we got 1, 3, 5, 7, 3, 5, 7, 9. And you could do that with octave displacement as well. So if I go here, starting up an octave, I can't keep going up because I've run out of room, so I can just hop down an octave. I can go ahead and hit the 7. And then just do that. Finish it up. So I'm hitting the A over here instead, but then I'm just continuing where I left off. So it goes like this. There's another way to do it, is I can octave displace down from that first one. So that's the same lick in 3 different places. And again, the idea is that it perfectly melodically outlines those chord changes, so it sounds really nice. It sounds like you know what you're doing. You're playing specifically over these chords. And it's a 2/5 lick. 2/5s happen all over the place in lots and lots of tunes, so having that material there when you don't have any other ideas is really great. You can just launch into something like that. All right, so then there's 1 in 2 out, so the 2 variation, the out variation rather, the second one, would be to do this kind of descending thing. So we got 1 3 5 7, that's our 1 in. We always do that 3 to 7, but then we just walk down. So 7 6 5. Is that right? Let's see. No. That's the third, sorry. 3 2 1 flat 7. 3 2 1 flat 7. And then that naturally brings us to the third of the one chord, which is D in this case. So we have this. 3 2 1 flat 7 3. And that's really nice too, because that kind of rolls off the fingers for me because it's a scale, right? So you're basically just descending a scale. From this point, your arpeggio ascend, and then that's just the B flat scale running down. That works great up an octave. And with octave displacement, you can do, you can leap up an octave and then continue walking down. So something like this. And I think that's it for the variations on that one. But so then from there, you do stuff like what I was hinting at just there. You don't just do this every single time. You might go, I don't know, whatever. Throw in some sort of rhythm change to that to make it a little bit more your own and make it fit whatever vibe you're going for in your solo. Whatever. It's all the same stuff, it's just kind of breaking it up differently. And then the next evolution from that would be to do something like, which I don't know what I'm going to do. Do like an enclosure around the starting note, throw some chromaticism in there to make it a little bit more bebop-y. So that stuff's really cool. So then the other variations, that's both of the out versions and the first of the first 3 in versions. The in patterns. So then the other 2 in patterns are 3 2 1 flat 7, starting from the 2 chord, and then you just finish up with one of the 2 patterns from the out, the 2 outs that we did. Or with like a displacement thing. So that's a really extended, just basically it's a scale run. But it works great, works as a nice outline for those chords. All the different variations there. And then the last in pattern starts on the 5th. So you go 5 3 1 flat 7. That kind of thing. And then what's cool about this is that these are generic. So when you're playing over a different type of chord, you can, like the minor 2/5, you can just alter it to fit that. So 2/5 in Autumn Leaves, be A minor flat 7, A minor 7 flat 5, D7 flat 9. You go. And this case, since we're doing a minor 7 flat 5 chord, you go 1 3 flat 5 7 instead of and then you still have that nice change. And then that would be 3 3 5 7 flat 9, because this would be and you keep walking it down to the root, whatever. And then up here, whatever. Anyway, it's still a ton of material, right? I haven't even finished showing all the permutations for both major and minor, 3 and 2 out in just one position. We got 5 positions to worry about. But what's really cool, I find, is that the more I work on this stuff, even if I'm in one position, my ear is getting to where I can hear this stuff better. And so when I move to a position where I'm less comfortable or trying these in a spot I haven't ever played them before, they come more easily, right? Because I already know what they sound like. And then, of course, that's just the way the guitar is. You see a lot of the same patterns over and over again, or with slight variations because of the tuning or whatever. So that's cool. That's cool stuff, and I feel like it's a good marriage. You've got arpeggio stuff happening, and you've got melodic cell stuff happening, and you've got a finite amount of material to work on. That's applicable in lots of tunes. What's cool, like I said before, is that it works over just a minor chord and or just a dominant chord. So if I just go like over just the C, right, it works over just that. You know, clearly it's trying to lead to a different chord. I think you can kind of hear that there's a resolution happening in the lick that's not happening in the chords, but it works, right, from a no avoid note standpoint. Over a dominant chord, same material, whatever, works over that as well. And then of course it works over the long 2/5. Oops. Why am I doing that? All right, here we go. So that's just over the C, but it works still. And if I do it just over the F, it'll work as well. So if I come in late, so it works nice. It's really, really flexible material that sounds nice and has all kinds of other benefits. So what I will do is put on a tune like Autumn Leaves, pick a pattern, and just run it to death. So let's see if I can do that a few times. Let's just run through the head a few times and see how it goes. All right, here we go. Something like that. So that's cool. That tune makes it all look easy because it's so repetitious. And because a lot of it can just be jammed on in G minor or B flat major. So that's kind of a best case scenario, right? Over other tunes with more different chord changes and chord patterns, or changing keys more often. It gets a little hairier. But the idea is that you're thinking of it in these bite-sized pieces. So every time you see a 2-5-1, find the root, a third, or a fifth from one of those two chords in major or minor, and play it. And because it works over the minor and the major, and the dominant, you can really be pretty creative with that stuff. And then, of course, it matters what comes before and what comes after. So if you're doing some nice melodic stuff and then you throw that in the middle, or at the end or beginning of a longer phrase, then it becomes a little less identifiable as like, oh, he's playing a lick. There's that lick. There's that lick. If you're really looking for it, of course, you'll hear the same thing over and over again. But I think there's enough variety available just within that small bit to get you pretty far. And I'm going to keep working on that stuff till it's a little bit more solid in more places over different tunes. And then, I don't know, move on to some other stuff. Try to find, maybe use that as a template for taking some of Randy's template melodic cells and finding ones that snap together really nice and working on those. So, we'll see. But anyway, that's it for this week. I'm going to go to a jam tonight. I have not been working on Someday My Prince Will Come like I'm supposed to. I've been screwing around with this other stuff, but it's all good. We'll see how it goes tonight. Anyway, thanks for watching Guitar Blog episode 4. See you guys next time.